When you're as good as this year's Boston Celtics, it's almost guaranteed you win the NBA championship. 4th best net rating of all time, 6 of 7 won the chip. 5th best scoring differential. Everybody else won. And the C's don't just beat teams, they beat them down. Oh, they embarrassed the Warriors by 50 points the other day. Yeah, they've done that 3 times this year. Stephen Curry said it best.
They've elevated their game and they're hitting 10 threes in the first quarter. Like, that's what we used to do to teams.
Oh, that is a huge compliment. But there's one big difference. Back when the Warriors were rolling, it felt inevitable they would win the chip. It was almost boring. Like every year, oh yeah, they're so much better. The league is broken. But with the Celtics, there's a lot of doubt. Come playoff time, the Celtics just gonna choke again, aren't they? Folks keep hyping the Celtics up like they don't disappoint in the playoffs every year. Why all this doubt? Because with how good this team is, they would become one of the biggest disappointments ever. And the only thing that could take them down is the one problem they've always had. Thank you to NBA Infinite for sponsoring today's video. NBA Infinite is a new, fun NBA mobile game, and lucky for me, easy to learn how to play. So basically, you collect star players to build your team and try to create a dynasty. But the real fun is in playing other people. You can play against friends or people online. They've got, 1v1, 3v3, or 5v5, or a more casual mode if you want to practice your skills, like a 3-point contest or 11-point games. But each player, if you're lucky like me, you get Sonic's Kevin Durant has their own dominant skills. So if you've got KD or the cover player, Karl Anthony Towns, you know the shooting is elite despite being like 7 feet tall. To assemble your team, you open packs to make a run at the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Not only is Cat on the cover, but one of my favorite announcers, Mark Jones, is on the play-by-play. So click the link in the description to get in the game with NBA Infinite today. It is super fun and it really helps out the channel. Again, click the link in the description. Now, the front office did everything they could to fix problems this offseason. Got Kristaps Porzingis in a trade that involved Marcus Smart to Memphis and smaller pieces to the Wizards. He had a breakout season in DC last year, but he's even better now. A big reason, maturity. KP doesn't care if he's the number 1 or 2 option like with Luka. He just wants to win. Then they got Jrue Holiday for Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams, and 2 first-round picks. Before that, Derek White came in a trade from San Antonio for basically 1 first-round pick. The greatest role player deal in recent history. Now, their offense can beat you in so many ways. Hit a ton of threes? Yes. Threes not falling? No problem. But for a team that will make history with the number 1 offense of all time, defense is their actual identity. They go 5 deep with elite defenders. But you know what's crazy? They've already had mostly top 5 offenses and defenses, but have not broken through. In fact, no team has been more successful than Boston since drafting Jason Tatum, but they have 0 titles to show for it. Why? Well, in 2018, they added Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward with expectations of a deep playoff run. Hayward had a horrible injury out the gate, and Kyrie was out with knee problems, but young Tatum and Brown led them to Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals, losing to prime LeBron. That's insane for 2 young guys to do, so everyone predicted big things in their future. But despite making 3 more conference finals and 1 finals, something always happens. You could say it's youth. Tatum just turned 26 years old. Or it could be the one problem they have always had. In 2020, the C's led every 4th quarter of the East Finals, but their crunch time offense was so bad, the Heat always came back and won in 6. They overcame a first-round exit to make the finals in 2022, but in Game 6, Jason Tatum, guarded by Andrew Wiggins, forced into a late turnover. Followed that up with a missed shot against Steph Curry. Tatum ended that series with 100 turnovers, the most by any player in playoff history. That's okay, he's still young. But last season, Tatum had costly turnovers again. Their crunch time offense was awful. That is why this recent loss by the new look Celtics is a problem. The Cavaliers, without Donovan Mitchell, came back from down 22 in the 4th quarter, and the C's last shot, Jason Tatum with a wild brick jumper. A foul was called that was later rescinded by the league, but dude dribbled 19 times for a pull-up J. I mean, forget all the off-season additions and the historic offense. Their best idea is a dribble-up Tatum ISO. How many times do we have to see this? I'm not saying he's not clutch, but can the offense get creative? The C's had 2 timeouts, by the way. Joe Mazzulla could have drawn up a play to win, but no. That's what really concerns Celtic fans. Oh, they can blow out teams, no problem, but how did they look in close, tough games? Because that's what the playoffs are all about. Other teams have a rock-solid answer in crunch time. The Milwaukee Bucks will go to Big Game Dame, who has made a ton of clutch shots. The Nuggets have an unstoppable Murray-Jokic pick and roll. The Celtics have been in this close situation 9 times this year, but are 0-9. Number 1 team in the league, how does that look? Tatum took 5 of those shots and is 0-5. Think of all the other teams that will have the best player on the floor. The Bucks, the Sixers, the Nuggets, the Clippers even. Jason Tatum's favorite player growing up was Kobe Bryant. He tries these Kobe shots even on a much smaller Darius Garland. How about you drive and get a foul? They even designed this play to get a pick, switch Garland onto Tatum, but don't take advantage of the mismatch. This team has still not fixed their biggest issue and is beatable. You'd say the Heat are the biggest threat because they've taken out a strong Celtics team 2 of the last 4 years. But here come the Milwaukee Bucks. They are quietly improving under Doc Rivers, and no one wants to admit it. Since the All-Star break, the Bucks have the number 1 defense in the NBA by a mile and are a perfect 6-0. Their schedule has not been super tough, yes, but they did beat both the Wolves and the Clippers, holding both to under 108 points. Damian Lillard fitting in better than ever. They're the opposite of the Celtics. Questions in the regular season, but both should be judged by the playoffs only. The one issue for Milwaukee is Chris Middleton's health. He was amazing in their 2021 title run, but has never been fully right since injuring his knee the next year. If two-way Chris is good, they are the biggest threat to shock the C's. But if that happens, losing ain't even the worst part. The real pain comes after they lose. The new CBA could force their front office to take a machete to the roster. That was always the risk of adding another big contract in Kristaps Porzingis. Not only will ownership have to pay a huge price when Jaylen Brown's extension kicks in, but the CBA makes it impossible on expensive teams. And is that all worth it for a team that just can't win? No! Big changes will be made. An anonymous exec told The Ringer, Boston has decisions to make. They're gonna have to figure out who's expendable and who's not. Can they get 80% of Jaylen Brown for a guy who makes half his money? What about Jason Tatum? Is he really a top 5 player? I'm not trying to be a hater, but think about the 2 reactions that can come from this season. Either Tatum is crowned as one of the best players in the league, like people did with Nikola Jokic. Once he won the chip, even the doubters had to admit it. Or can Tatum ever be that guy? The Celtics are one of the best regular season teams ever, but there is a lot riding on this season and an actual reason to be nervous. Like the Bucks, looking great the last few weeks. Doc Rivers has actually sneakily fixed their defense, and people are starting to believe. But one guy who will always be disrespected is Thanasis Antetokounmpo. He has been clowned for years, but you can actually make the case he is the most important Buck outside of his brother Giannis.